Love versus fear. Today, again, I have Ellen Newhouse. I love her because she always gives me a lot of energy. So let's be together today and see what is your discussion about the fear and love. Ellen Newhouse, thank you so much for being here again.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today with you.
So uh, I choose I chose this topic because I know you are a healer,
Yes.
and the healing process not going to be started if we feel fearful and don't
Mhm,
feel supported and not
mhm,
protected inside. So tell me about this. I really want to know
mhm.
why fear blocks us from being healthy or even can stop the healing process.
Well, I would say it a little bit differently. I think fear can be a great teacher. Fear says there's something more in me that I sense, that I know, but I don't know where it is in me. And fear can be a great teacher to bring us closer inside to our own being if we don't allow it to be like the boogeyman underneath the bed, right? That says, "Oh, I am big, I am strong, I am more powerful than you." And the truth is that love is the greatest healer of all. And if we understand the call of fear is to love ourselves even more.
Yes. So I know self-care always come the first, because even if you need to take care of somebody with the PTSD, somebody with mental health,
Mhm.
again, you have to take care of yourself first, because if you don't feel good, how can you help others, right?
Oh,
'Cause-
absolutely.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I know in many cases, especially moms with their kids,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
there are lots of yeah, you're gonna help your loved one, but still you don't feel you feel very exhausted,
Yeah.
and you can't move, you don't have enough energy to
Mhm.
even help somebody else.
Right.
So when I actually read your book, this is her book, I'm very excited.
Aw.
Thank
Don't you
you
love that
for,
cover? I love
I
that
love it,
cover
you know
so
what I'm saying.
much.
Yeah, nothing goes here.
Nothing
Yeah,
ever
nothing
goes
ever
on
goes
here.
on here, and you
Yeah.
had the same sentence. Your father said this to you, right?
Yes, you're giving it away. You're giving away the punchline. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I know this month is about domestic violence, and
Yes.
we're gonna have another bigger summit
Mhm.
soon in October 28th.
Mhm.
But this is a great introduction for others
Yes.
to learn about this. And I know in your book you also talk about this a little
Mhm.
bit. I don't want to talk about your book a lot. I'm very excited because I started it 2 days ago, and
Wow.
then but I had a lot of things to do. But I said, oh, I have to read it. It's so
Yeah.
interesting, and your writing style is
Mm.
so sweet. It's
Aw.
it's so good. You
Aw.
can't
Thank
put it
you.
away. It's like, oh gosh, how can I read it? So I'm still in the beginning, but
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I really wish to have time to finish it. I can't wait. But can you talk about it a little bit? And of course, it's really, really connect to this month
Yes.
domestic violence and also love and fear, because you had in your childhood you had a lot of fear, that's why you had some health issues, And then when you found out about how to love yourself, then
Mhm.
your life totally changed.
Totally changed. So
Yeah.
the memoir is the story of how I overcame domestic violence and, most importantly, learned about forgiveness and self-love. And in that process, I went through so much healing, of course, and I want to make it clear that my healing continues, because sometimes there's this belief that I will somehow fix myself and that everything will be okay. And I understand that theory, but that for me is not reality. The reality is that if we are so lucky as to be chosen to get on a healing path, we will heal for the rest of our lives. At least that is my journey. And I feel very grateful to be on it. Now, when I was a little girl, if you had ever said to me, Ellen, one day you're going to be grateful for this all, I would have screamed, no, you don't understand. And it would have been appropriate, because my childhood was very, very complicated, very violent, very confusing. I grew up with a mother, though brilliant, suffered from a deep-seated mental illness, and a father who was undiagnosed, but also, I believe, and many, many therapists I've worked with believe, that he had a deep, deep mental illness that went undiagnosed. So the combination was really, really tragic and very chaotic and very violent. And so from there, my journey began really my journey began when it began, but the healing part of the journey began at 26, when I woke up and I could not breathe. And I spent 2 years in Western medicine. And unfortunately, and fortunately for me, nothing worked. And so this brought me to my knees, and it brought me to God. And my first prayer to God was, I am not ready to die. You need to get down here right now, and you need to help me. Now, God did not appear as perhaps I thought he would. Didn't come and say, Ellen, this is God speaking. But what did happen in that moment was that I dedicated myself to a prayer practice. And within 1 month, my entire life changed. And I have never been the same ever since.
You said about asthma. I have asthma too.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I think we have a lot of similarities.
I think we do.
Fortunately, I had a really, really good family background, so I
Mhm.
was lucky about that. But uh, I really miss them, so I have them
Yeah.
now here. And I think my asthma always get back to emotional
Yeah.
stress.
Well,
Mm,
in
yeah.
Chinese medicine, if you look at what is the function of the lungs, in addition to all the other things that it helps us to do, to breathe and circulate, energy, et cetera, and circulate the air, blah, blah, blah. What it also does in Chinese medicine is that it processes the emotion of grief.
Mhm,
So, for people who struggle with lung conditions, I often ponder, where is the grief that is not resolved?
mhm.
So, if you were my patient, we would be pondering together, Pantia,
Yeah.
where is the grief that is not resolved yet? You know?
Yeah, probably we have to talk.
Yes,
But
yes.
I just realize, even if some people eat everything, right? And
Mhm.
they live much longer than us. Like I
Hmm.
know people, even in 90s, they still smoke. but still
Yes.
they don't have any problem, you
Hmm.
know. And I just realized that comes back to their immune system. They
Hmm.
are stronger inside, and they don't think too much. They don't over analyze life.
Aha. They don't worry. They don't
Yeah, yeah,
worry. And
yeah, yeah.
again, if we looked at the map, there's a really interesting, well, there are many maps in Chinese medicine, but one of the things to look at is when we worry, we really hurt the spleen, right? And the spleen and the lung have a relationship. And, in Chinese medicine, everything has a relationship to everything else.
Yes,
And so those people who don't worry, they have a strong spleen. And the spleen and the stomach are a pair in Chinese medicine. Now, the stomach in Chinese medicine is very, very important because it's the center of all nourishment.
mm,
So if the spleen is deficient from worrying, then the stomach is also going to be deficient. And then those cannot nourish the lungs.
I see.
So if you're a warrior, then the very first thing that I would have you do is to simply take the energy from worry and move it over to envision. We flip it on upside down on its head, because worry, what is worry? It's always, I'm afraid X, Y, and Z is going to happen,
Exactly.
and X, Y, and Z isn't going to happen. So then I say, let's envision the best possible outcome and stop worrying, because we know worry does not help.
Yes.
Doesn't help.
Exactly. And another thing is, because I'm talking to homeopath as well, and
Mhm.
I love this experience,
Yes.
because these days I'm just trying to treat myself with functional medicine, homeopath, holistic medicine, totally.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't have asthma for 2 years. Two
Wow.
years. I had no
Wow.
sign, nothing. And then I realized, is it because of diet or because
Hmm.
of something else? When that hits, like last week, I was in emergency room, and then
Oh.
my interesting point is my oxygen level was 95%,
Mm.
which was not bad, right?
Yeah.
And then when I talked to homeopath, she said, why did you, what did you feel? I said, I was afraid to get
Mm.
back to that level that I was
Ah.
before, because I
Mhm.
was hit with asthma, as I said, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I ended up to emergency, and I had to, they hospitalized me because I was really bad,
Yeah.
like I was
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
Because, as I'm saying, fear of getting the
Mm.
same symptoms
Yes.
make you sick. That's
Yes.
why people, even if they are healing and they get
Hmm.
better, as soon as they get the symptoms, they think that they're going to have the same issue that they had before. That
Yes.
happened with cancer or other chronic disease, because I know other cancer patients,
Hmm.
let's say they say you are free, your body is healed, but I don't believe in it, because there are lots of triggers inside, there are lots
Hmm.
of PTSD and mental illness inside the body is not resolved yet.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you have some little trigger, you get back
Mhm.
to that point again.
Yes. Now, you just started my book, and what you're going to learn as you go ahead in the book is that I suffered from a severe lung disease, lung symptoms, let's say, because they could never figure out really what was wrong, but I couldn't breathe. And they treated it as asthma, but it wasn't asthma, and et cetera, et cetera. But what I learned in that journey is the role that fear played, right? Because when we get afraid, what happens? We tighten in our chest, right? And then we feel tight in the lungs. And then, oh, I can't get the breath all the way down. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And the fear piles up, it piles up, piles up, piles up. And it's almost like we have to treat that fear like a little tiny child who comes in, mommy, 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 there's a boogeyman under the mommy, there's somebody really, really scary, a monster underneath the bed, right? And yet that little child is in us. And so what I would say for anybody dealing with fear of anything, but particularly physical issues, is to really treat that fear like a little child, right? And you bring love to that part in your body, and you bring love to that part in your mind, and you just keep doing it over and over and over again, understanding that some part of us still needs that deep healing.
Some part of us still that needs mommy.
Yes,
Even if you're
absolutely.
like you're over 40, as soon as my parents came from overseas
Hmm.
after 3 years, I still had asthma, but 2 days later I felt much better. Today I
Yes.
don't have any symptoms. Like I don't use puff or anything because I
Yes.
have my mom
Yeah.
beside me. So this is a great example about the fear versus love,
Yeah.
because especially with asthma, if you feel that you don't have any support, you don't have
Hmm.
anybody to help you,
Hmm.
even if you have people around you, but again you get back to your childhood, you get back
Hmm.
to all of them, like triggers that you feel that you need a real support, somebody help you,
Yeah.
even if you are not child anymore.
Well, what
Yeah.
I think is that our wounded children stay alive inside of us until we're strong enough to heal. So for me, these children are very much as real as you and I. We can't see them, but I know for sure that when I was going through my healing, that the the children, I could feel them. Like I would suddenly feel like I'm 15 years old. So that's your inner child who needs healing. And even now, when I go through a period of time of deep healing, I will feel a certain age. Those are the wounds that stayed. And those children stay alive in us in a frozen state until we're strong enough and ready to heal them. So, Pantia, inside you, I would say, yes, there's still a child that needs its mommy. And you're fortunate, your parents are still alive. But let's say people have parents that are either not alive, or they are not well parents, or they've there's such a strong disconnect that the parent isn't able to parent. I want you to know that you can parent yourself. And that is the journey, because Pantia, even though your mom came and you feel better, she can't stay there for forever. And, even if she stayed there for forever and she held you and she, rubbed your back and, Pantia, we love you, honey. At some point, there is still the need for you to become the best parent for all of those little children. And sometimes they're not so little. Like in your case, you had an event. How old were you when that event happened?
Which event?
The one we talked about where you were, somebody came with a knife in your
Oh, I
car.
was 20, 27,
Yes.
26. Yeah.
So to me, that 27, 26 year old, she's still inside of you. And she
Mhm.
probably to this day still needs healing, even though I know you've done healing on it. But you see, they come in layers, healing happens in layers. And so let's say, and this is a great point. So often my patients will say, Ellen, I've worked on this for 3 years, for 10 years, and it's still there. And I will say, it's okay, because this is a new layer of it. You see, we heal in layers of our psyche. We don't heal all at once, because most of the time we have very deep issues. Some things, yes, they will easily heal and they'll be gone, they'll never come back. But Other things that are very complex, they will tend to heal in layers. And so you will revisit them. The truth is, we only have a few issues to heal in one lifetime. Thank goodness, right? And they're just layers and layers. And you can think of it like unraveling an onion, or you can think of it as in spiral. And don't get disappointed. They'll come up again. And you say, oh, hello, I know you. Now, what flavor of the healing are we doing, this time? So comes in layers.
Yes, it comes in layers. So I know you have a website,
Yes.
ellennewhouse.com. What do you have there?
Well, it's currently being worked on. So the old one has, which I'm not even sure if you go up to it right now, if it's operating. Some days it's operating, some days it's not, because we're moving things over. The new website is going to be phenomenal. The new website is the same name, ellennewhouse.com. And it will have about my podcast, which I'm rebranding anyway. So it's good that it's not quite up yet, because the old name is being changed, and I love the new name. So the old name is Heart and Soul with Ellen Newhouse, and the new name is called Fuel the Soul.
Wow.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's like so yummy to me. But on the old website, there's information about my book. There's some pieces that I wrote on the blog. There's a little bit about my services, but just a little bit. The new website will be more, um, you'll have more information about what I do and where I came from, and about the book and about the podcast. So
So when do you launch it? Because this show is there forever. So
yes. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, we have been saying it's going to launch Friday, and now I'm having new pictures done Thursday of next week. So let's say it's going to launch 2 weeks after that. So that would be October, let's say November 1st. Let's just say November.
November 1st,
Yes.
November 1st,
Yes.
2021.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a great discussion, and it was like real example of how fear and love can actually help or not help
Yeah.
the healing process. Because, as I said, if you're afraid of having those symptoms back again, it's gonna
Mhm.
come back again. And if you take care of yourself, even if you're a mom and you have a little child like me,
Mhm.
sometimes if you just say, okay, I just want to be for myself 1 2 days, I don't know, 1 2 hours per day,
Mhm.
just do something that you love. That's it. And it
Absolutely.
really helps, I'm telling you. Because,
Yes, and
yeah,
remember what they say when you're, flying on an airplane. If you're traveling with a small child, put your oxygen mask on first. So, what does that mean? It means take care of yourself first, because, oh, excuse me, because if you do not take care of yourself first, you cannot truly be there for another. So,
exactly. No,
yeah.
because I see angry moms, I see distressed moms,
Hmm.
and that's not going to be healthy for your child. Because if you're tired, you definitely get angry,
Yeah.
and you can't be a good mom if you're angry. So
Yeah.
that's why you have to feel good about yourself, take care of yourself, and
Mhm.
then you can be others for others, to protect your family and your kids.
Yeah. And just remember that being a mother is amazing. Like, just the fact that you risked being a mom is incredible. And, for all the guilt that is put on the word mother, I want you to look at it and say, that's somebody's else's idea. And remember that going forward, the new way to be an incredible mom is to put yourself first, is to take care of yourself. When you are well fed, the cup will just run over. You won't even have to try so hard.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, Alan, again.
Oh, thank you for having me. And thank you so much for taking the time to read my book. Mwah. Thank
See
you.
you
Thank
again.
you.
Please subscribe to Panta Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Rules of Change for the Better. Tune up your mood and transform your life to reach your